Chief Akonde sat at the head of a long wooden table in his compound. He was a man of great figure in the village of Ile-Ayo, known for his wealth and his wisdom. However, this evening, his heart was heavy. The annual Yam Festival was approaching, and there was unrest in the atmosphere. We must ensure that this year's festival goes without any incidents, Chief Akonde declared, his voice firm. Last year's chaos cannot be repeated. Last year, during the peak of the festival, the sacred yam barn was set on fire, and the once peaceful village had descended into chaos. The criminal was never caught, leaving a shadow over Ile-Ayo. Who get hand for that matter go soon show face, Adewale whispered. The village youngest and most ambitious hunter, his eyes shifting restlessly around. The days leading up to the festival were filled with preparation and unease. The villagers whispered of strange occurrences, missing livestock, mysterious figures in the night, and mysterious symbols appearing on the wall. Adewale, determined to uncover the truth, began his own investigation. He spoke to the elders, listened to the fear of the villagers, and paraded the village at night. It wasn't long before he noticed a pattern. Each incident seemed to center around the home of Olamide, a once wealthy farmer whose fortune had faded. This kind thing no suppose be coincidence, Adewale thought to himself as he approached Olamide's house. Olamide was a very sad and broken person. His eyes were empty and he looked defeated. He had lost his family to a serious illness the previous year, and his farm, which was once thriving, was now in shambles. Adewale, wetin carry you come my side? Olamide's voice was weak, barely more than a whisper. I dey look for answers, Olamide. Things dey happen wey no make sense, Adewale replied, his tone gentle yet questioning. Olamide's eyes filled with tears as he recounted his tale. After his family's death, he had turned to desperate measures to try and restore his fortune. He sought the help of a mysterious figure who promised him wealth and power in exchange for a terrible price. I no know say he go reach like this. This person talk say I go get everything I lost back. But now, I dey see say na lie, Olamide confessed. Adewale pressed for more details, and slowly the pieces of the puzzle began to fit together. The mysterious figure had demanded Olamide perform dark rituals, and the symbols appearing around the village were part of these rites. We go catch the person when they behind all this wahala, Adewale promised, leaving Olamide's house with a new determination. As Adewale dug deeper, he uncovered a conspiracy that went beyond Olamide. There were others in the village who had been tempted by the same promises of wealth and power. Among them was Kemi, the wife of one of the village wealthiest men, and Chijioke, a respected elder. Them all don't fall for this same trap, Olamide wondered. But who be the person behind this whole plan? One night, while parading the village, Adewale saw a figure fading into the forest. He followed silently, his hunter's instincts keeping him hidden. The figure led him to a clearing where a small group was gathered. At the center stood a tall man with an atmosphere of authority, his face hidden by a hood. This one no be ordinary man, oh, Adewale thought, as he watched the man conduct a ritual. When the group spread out, Adewale followed the hooded man back to the village. To his shock, the man entered the home of one of the village's most trusted individuals, Chief Akonde. Adewale was stunned. Could it be that Chief Akonde, the man who had always stood for justice, was behind the village suffering? He needed proof before confronting him. The next day, Adewale shared his suspicions with a few trusted friends. Together, they devised a plan to catch Chief Akonde in the act. That night, they hid near Chief Akonde's compound, waiting for him to make his move. As midnight approached, Chief Akonde sneaked out of the house and headed towards the forest. Adewale and his friends followed, careful not to reveal themselves. In the clearing, they saw Chief Akonde wearing a hood as he began another ritual. "Chief, wetin you dey do?" Adewale shouted. Stepping into the clearing, his voice echoing through the night. Chief Akonde froze, his eyes wide with shock. "Adewale, wetin you dey do here?" "I suppose they ask you this same question," Adewale asked him back. "Why you dey do all this sef?" Chief Akonde's face twisted with anger. "You no go understand. I do all this for the good of the village. We need more wealth, more power to survive." "But at what cost na?" Adewale countered. "You dey destroy this village for your own gain." The confrontation escalated quickly. Chief Akonde, realizing his secret was out, lashed out at Adewale. But Adewale was ready. With the help of his friends, they subdued Chief Akonde and dragged him back to the village. The villagers, awakened by the commotion, gathered around, their faces filled with shock and confusion. Adewale stood before them, his voice firm as he revealed Chief Akonde's deeds. "This chief don't betray us all. In dey behind all the evil when they happen for this village. But now, we go take back our peace and our village from this man." Chief Akonde was stripped of his title and banished from the village. The symbols were erased, the rituals ceased, and slowly the village of Ile Ayo began to heal. The Yam Festival went on as planned, a celebration not just of the harvest, but of the strength and unity of the people. Adewale became a hero, not just for his bravery, but for his firm commitment to the truth. As the village danced and sang, he knew that true power came not from wealth or dark promises. Adewale became a hero, not just for his bravery, but for his firm commitment to the truth. As the village danced and sang, he knew that true power came not from wealth or dark promises, but from strength and integrity of the community. The tale of Ile Ayo was passed down through generations, a reminder of the danger of greed and the enduring power of justice and unity. And so, the village thrived, a beacon of hope and strength in the world filled with shadows. Thank you for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, share, and leave a comment. See you on my next video. Bye.
Once upon a time, in a small village in Nigeria named Epe, there lived a woman named Adobe. Adobe was known for her bright smile and kindness. She lived a simple life, helping her parents with farming and taking care of her younger siblings. One sunny day, a man named Chijuke came to the village. Chijuke was handsome. He wore fine clothes and shiny shoes. Adobe met Chijuke when he stopped by her family's farm, asking for directions. Chijuke smiled at Adobe, and her heart skipped a beat. Chijuke told Adobe he was a businessman looking for a peaceful place to rest away from the city's noise. As days passed, Chijioke visited Adobe often. They would walk by the river, sharing stories and dreams. Soon, Chijioke asked Adobe to marry him. Excited and in love, Adobe said yes, and they had a big wedding with lots of dancing and food. After the wedding, Chijioke took Adobe to his home in the city. It was a big house with many rooms and a beautiful garden. Adobe was happy, but she started noticing that Chijioke would disappear at night. When she asked, he said he was taking care of business for them to have a good life. Months passed, and Adobe wanted to start a family, but they had no children. She became sad and went to see a doctor. The doctor, a kind old woman named Dr. Ngozi, gave Adobe some news that made her heart heavy. Adobe could not have children because something was wrong inside her. Adobe was confused and sad. She returned home and waited for Chijioke to return from one of his night trips. When Chijioke came back, Adobe asked him about her problem. Chijioke looked away and did not answer right away. Adobe felt a cold wind blow through the room, even though the windows were closed. Chijioke finally looked at Adobe and told her a story she never expected to hear. He confessed that he had used magic to become wealthy, but at a great cost. The magic required something very special, and Chijioke had used Adobe's ability to have children without telling her. Adobe's heart broke into pieces. She couldn't believe what Chijioke had done. Feeling betrayed, Adobe decided she needed help and wisdom. She remembered an old wise man in Epe, Baba Femi, who was known for solving mysterious problems. Adobe packed a small bag and left the city while Chijioke was asleep. She traveled back to Epe under the starlight sky, driven by a mix of hope and sorrow. When Adobe reached Epe, she went straight to Baba Femi's hut at the edge of the village. The old man listened quietly as Adobe told her story, tears streaming down her face. Baba Femi looked into the fire before him, and his eyes reflected the flames as he thought deeply. "Child," Baba Femi finally spoke, "the path to fixing this wrong is long and full of shadows, but there is a way. You must find the heart of the moon, a red gem that can undo magic. But beware, the journey is not for the faint of heart and is filled with dangers unseen." Adobe, with determination in her eyes, decided to find the heart of the moon. Baba Femi gave her a small carved wooden amulet for protection. "This will guide you at the darkest nights," he said, placing it around her neck. As Adobe set out on her journey, the wind seemed to whisper secrets and warnings. The moon watched silently, its light casting long shadows on the path ahead. Each step took Adobe further from her past life and deeper into a world of ancient magic and mysteries yet to unfold. As she walked through thick forests and crossed quiet rivers, Adobe met creatures and faced challenges that tested her bravery and strength. Each encounter brought her closer to the hearts of the moon and further into the heart of the mystery surrounding her fate. But as Adobe ventured deeper into the unknown, Chijioke was beginning to realize that Adobe might have discovered his secret. Fearful of the consequences and unsure of his own feelings, he decided to follow her into the night, leading to a path where their stories would intertwine under the watchful eyes of the unseen forces of the ancient world. Adobe walked and walked. Her feet were sore and her heart was heavy, but her spirit was strong. She remembered Baba Femi's words and held tight to the wooden armlet around her neck. The forest was thick, with trees that reached up to the sky, their branches like arms stretching out to touch the clouds. As night fell, Adobe heard strange sounds. Owls hooted and bushes rustled. Eyes shone in the dark, watching her. She was scared, but she remembered the old wise man's words and the need to find the heart of the moon to fix her problem. So she walked on, her eyes wide open, watching the moonlight guide her path. Meanwhile, Chijioke was also moving through the forest. He missed Adobe and felt sorry for what he had done. He wanted to find her and tell her he was sorry. He hoped they could find a way to be happy again. Chijioke walked fast, looking everywhere for Adobe. Back in Epe, Adobe's parents were worried. Their daughter had left without saying where she was going. They hoped she was fine. The villagers talked among themselves, wondering where the kind Adobe had gone. Everyone hoped she would come back soon. Deep in the forest, Adobe met an old woman. The woman's hair was white, like the moon, and her eyes were kind. She knew Adobe was looking for something very important. "You are brave," the old woman said, "and your heart is pure. I will help you." She gave Adobe a map. "This map will show you where to find the heart of the moon. Be careful, little one. The path is full of dangers." Adobe thanked the old woman and looked at the map. It showed a mountain far, far away. She knew it would be a long journey, but she was ready with a new hope. Adobe started walking towards the mountain. Days turned into nights, and Adobe faced many challenges. She crossed rivers where fish jumped and sparkled under the sun. She climbed hills that seemed never to end. At night, she slept under the stars, the map always by her side. One day, as Adobe was walking, she heard someone calling her name. "Adobe!" It was Chijioke. He had found her. Adobe was surprised to see him. "Chijioke, why are you here?" she asked. Chijioke looked sad. "I am sorry, Adobe. I did something very bad. I am here to help you find the heart of the moon. Please, let me help." Adobe looked into Chijioke's eyes. She saw that he was truly sorry. She nodded. "Okay, you can come, but we must be careful and kind. We have a long way to go." Together, they continued the journey. They helped each other over rocks and through thick mud. As they traveled, Adobe and Chijioke learned many things. They learned about trust and forgiveness. They also learned that the journey was about more than finding the hearts of the moon. It was about finding their way back to each other. The mountain was now close. It stood tall and proud under the sun. Its top was covered in snow that shone like diamonds. "We are almost there," Adobe said, feeling a mix of excitement and fear. But the mountain had its own secrets. Shadows moved in the snow, and the wind whispered warnings. Adobe and Chijuke held their breaths as they started to climb, not knowing what awaited them at the peak. As they climbed, the air got colder, and the path became harder. Ice covered the rocks, making each step dangerous. Adobe slipped, but Chijuke caught her. "Be careful," he said. Adobe nodded, grateful for his help. Higher and higher they climbed, until the whole world seemed to be below them. Adobe felt like she could touch the stars. Then, just as they reached the top, they saw something shining in the snow. It was the heart of the moon, glowing with a light that was soft and warm. Adobe and Chijuke looked at each other and smiled. They had found it, but just as they were about to reach for the gem, a shadow moved across the snow. Something big was watching them. Adobe and Chijuke stood close, ready to face whatever came next. Out from the shadows emerged a majestic snow leopard. Its fur was white as the snow, and its eyes sparkled like diamonds. Adobe and Chijuke stood still, watching the leopard with wonder and a little fear. But the snow leopard did not growl or attack. Instead, it padded closer. Its steps light on the snow. Adobe felt a strange warmth in her heart as she looked into the leopard's eyes. It was as if the animal understood their quest. With a gentle nudge, the snow leopard nudged the heart of the moon toward Adobe and Chijuke. They reached out and touched the gem, feeling its power flow through them. It was a feeling of peace and hope, like the warm hug on a cold day. "Thank you," Adobe whispered to the snow leopard, her voice filled with gratitude. The leopard nodded and then disappeared into the shadows, leaving Adobe and Chijuke alone with the hearts of the moon. With the gem in their hands, Adobe and Chijuke knew what they had to do. They closed their eyes and focused on their deepest desires. Adobe wished for her ability to have children to be restored, and Chijuke wished for forgiveness and a chance to make things right. As they opened their eyes, they felt a shift in the air. The sky seemed to brighten, and the warm breeze blew through the mountain peak. Adobe looked down at her hands and saw that they were no longer empty. In her arms was a small bundle wrapped in soft clothes. Tears filled Adobe's eyes as she unwrapped the bundle and saw a beautiful baby girl looking up at her with wide eyes. "She's ours," Adobe whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Chijuke smiled, his own eyes shining with tears. Together, they held their daughter close, feeling a love so strong it seemed to fill the whole world. But they also knew that as long as they had each other, they could face anything that came their way. As they descended the mountain, the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in the shades of orange and pink. Adobe looked back at the peak, feeling a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that their lives would never be the same, but she also knew that they were stronger together than they ever could have been apart. Back in Epe, the villagers rejoiced at Adobe's return. They marveled at the baby girl in her arms, their hearts overflowing with happiness. Adobe and Chijuke shared their story with the villagers, and they listened with awe and admiration. From that day on, Adobe and Chijuke lived happily in Epe, raising their daughter with love and care. They never forgot the journey that had brought them together, and they never took their family for granted. As for the heart of the moon, it remained a symbol of hope and magic, its light shining bright in the hearts of all who believed in its power. And though the world was full of mysteries and challenges, Adaobi and Chijioke knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome anything. Years passed, and Adaobi and Chijioke watched their daughter, whom they named Ngozi, grow up. She was a bright and joyful child. Her laughter filled their home with happiness every night. Adaobi and Chijioke would tell Ngozi stories of their adventure to find the heart of the moon and how important it was to always be kind and truthful. As Ngozi grew, she learned many lessons from her parents. She learned about the magic of love, the strength of forgiveness, and the power of a pure heart. Adaobi and Chijioke taught her to treat everyone with kindness and respect, and Ngozi carried these lessons with her wherever she went. One sunny morning, the people of Ekpe gathered to celebrate a festival of Thanksgiving. Everyone in the village came to share food, dance to music, and tell stories of the past year. Adaobi, Chijioke, and Ngozi journeyed in the festivities, their hearts full of joy. During the celebration, Adaobi looked around at all the smiling faces and felt a deep sense of gratitude. She took Chijioke's hand and squeezed it tightly. "Look how far we've come," she whispered. Chijioke nodded, his eyes reflecting the joy and love he felt for his family. As the sun sets, Adaobi gathered the children of the village around her. It was time for a story. Ngozi sat close to her parents, eager to hear her mother's voice, weave tales of magic and adventure. Adaobi began. "Long ago, my journey taught me about the magic of forgiveness and the strength found in loving each other." She shared her story, from the sadness and betrayal to the journey up to the mountain and the lessons learned from the majestic snow leopard. When the story ended, Adaobi looked into the wide eyes of the children and said, "Remember, always share your love, forgive those who hurt you, and never lose hope. Magic is real, and it lives in our hearts." The children nodded, their eyes filled with wonder and understanding. They promised to remember Adaobi's words and to live by them. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, the village of Epe felt peaceful and safe. Adaobi, Chijioke, and Ngozi walked back to their home, their hands held tight. That night, as Ngozi fell asleep between her parents, Adaobi and Chijioke whispered to each other, thankful for the journey that had brought them together and the life they had built. The moral of the story is, love and forgiveness are the greatest magic of all. They heal wounds, build bridges, and bring light into the darkest of places. And no matter how difficult the journey, hope and love will guide you home. And so, Adaobi, Chijioke, and Ngozi lived happily, surrounded by the love of their family and their village, forever grateful for the lesson they had learned and the love they shared. Another interesting story is dropping soon. Do well to subscribe to this channel if you're yet to do so, for you not to miss out. It is free. Thank you for watching. Bye.